if it's raining in Germany, there's a little bit of water coming from the sky. If it's raining in India, it's really raining. If someone in India says this is a little bit hot,
really hot.
It might kill me. And also we have different definitions of heat. Germans have a very dry humor, often very sarcastic, etc.
Yeah.
And when they go abroad, they are going to UK, and everyone laughs about their humor because the way of humor is very similar. And then they go to China and Japan.
Nobody understands.
And nobody gets their jokes, and the Japanese counterpart don't know what to do. Was it a joke? Was it serious? Should I laugh now? And then he loses face and this.
Welcome viewers. In today's special edition of the Geo interview, we are at the KAS headquarters in New Delhi. We have the honor of hosting the Director of KAS India, Dr. Adrian Haack. Dr. Haack has served in the German army, and since 2015, he has been working with the Christian Democratic Union, specializing in the field of trade and security. I welcome you, sir. How are you today?
Awesome, awesome. How are you?
I'm amazing, sir. It's an honor interviewing you, really. And let me introduce myself a little bit. I'm basically a student, a third-year student. I'm pursuing political science honors itself, and I see that you're also a political scientist. And I'm in the University of Delhi right now. So yeah, we're sort of going through the vacation now. What has been up at KAS?
Yes, we just had a guest here.
Right.
From the headquarters of the Christian Democratic Party in Germany. It was the foreign policy advisor of our chairman, and he was here for 5 days, had several appointments in the parliament and with other political party.
Right.
And he spent an awesome time here. And this weekend we get a German member of parliament.
Oh, right.
So you see, we are a bit in a rush.
Of course, sir. So I guess we can start with the question answer session.
Sure.
Right. So we're aware of the impact that Chancellor Konrad Adenauer had on the Federal Republic of Germany. So, we know that KAS's organization principles have been, sort of shaped by his legacy, and so have Germany's. So, sir, I would like to ask you that how have these, as a director, how have you managed to sort of align these organizations' principles with India's unique political, cultural, and social background?
Yeah, so actually, when we look back in history, when Adenauer founded or was first chancellor of Germany after the war, and also the founder of the Christian Democratic Party, which is the party of Angela Merkel today, and also was head of the committee doing the constitution. It was more or less at the same time when India became independent.
Yeah.
So both states started from the scratch, you can say. And for Germany, it was of course a different situation. Due to the fact that Germany started the Second World War and committed horrible crimes all over Europe and was afterwards divided, the West Germany was, the Federal Republic was isolated at first. And Adenauer, who was an opponent of the Nazi regime, was able to manifest new relations with the Western allies and with the other European countries, and kind of brought Germany back to on the map. Yeah. And this is the heritage our foundation has, and it's huge more or less everywhere in the world, because it's promoting peace, it's promoting communication between different countries, and it is all about having a dialogue platform so that you can change different viewpoints. So right now, so we are running more than 110 offices all over the world. And right now we are only We have only problems in 3 offices, which are closed down right now.
Yeah.
2 are in Ukraine due to
Okay.
the war,
Yeah.
but they will reopen after the war. And Moscow, which will not reopen.
All right. Makes sense. All right. So now that we've talked about, that KAS is really widespread, and, KAS India have this sort of, the office here itself is an example of how Germany's principles and India's relations, they are being strengthened. So this takes my mind to, for example, me and the youth present, right, in India and Germany. We know that both the countries have this amazing resource base, right? We have highly skilled human resource. So I would like to ask you that what initiatives can we promote, or what initiatives do you think can we take as KAS or as the 2 governments of Germany and India to capture this potential of youth and human resource?
Yeah, so we as a foundation, but also Konrad Adenauer, believed that the relation of 2 countries is not only based on governments. So it is crucial that there's people-to-people interaction, and first of all, the youth is the big potential, because obviously they bringing relations to the future. What I would say, besides the work we do, what the big topic is the possibility that youngsters here from India have the chance to study and work in Germany.
Yeah.
And both goes hand in hand. And there is now the legal framework, but as many of you know, the operational framework could be better. There's a lack.
Exactly. So, sir, I guess there are a lot of young people who are studying in terms of science and technology today. They are involved in research and stuff like that. And I feel that there are already partnerships and agreements between India and Germany to facilitate this particular field. So my question to you is, in this industry, there is sort of this, I think, program where India and Germany have agreed to collaborate on AI-based startups and pharma and biotech industry. So how can we, with KAS's initiatives and the governments as well again, how can we promote this particular field in science and technology industry, in manufacturing of high technology? How can we promote that?
Yeah, so Germany and India have a long-lasting economic relationship.
Yeah.
So if you look at Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, all the German players are already there, and they're hard hiring, so they are growing there. So if you look at like places like Bangalore, Hyderabad, the big German tech companies, they are growing there every year. And the next step, and this is a lack, is that medium and smaller tech enterprises,
SMEs,
yes, from Germany, make the step to come to India and engage here, because this is missing right now. And people all over the world know the big German brands, like of course the big car brands, but also tech companies like Continental, SAP, Bosch, Siemens. They are known, but the backbone of the German economy is actually the medium-sized companies. You have a lot of so-called hidden champions in Germany, of medium-sized companies which are specialized on one particular field, and they are a world market leader in that field. And these companies are actually also the source of innovation, as well as the big players are. But in Germany, the environment is a bit different. There are startups, of course. There are also, if you look at the German stock markets, there are some startups who really became very big. But in general, we can say the tech innovation is driven by the big players and the medium-sized players. The big ones are here, but the medium-sized didn't follow yet. And I would say this is the next big step in Indo-German business relations.
So what can we do to facilitate this? Like how can we, invite and sort of make it easy for the medium-sized enterprises to come into India?
And this is in that point a good question, since you are studying political science.
Yeah.
And you might get often asked the question, what will you do later on with this degree? And the political science is not abstract. It is it is also let's say a source of labor force which is needed to tie these business relations, because right now we have or we are in a stage in Indo-German relations where many medium-sized companies are not sure, should I do the step to India or not? Should I go out of China or not? Many companies, many CEOs of medium-sized companies are having this kind of questions. And therefore, to provide them expertise, but also to build a framework or an environment where they do take the decision to go to India. Because to many extent, the India knowledge in Germany is not that intensive. You see that especially when you compare it with other regions in the world, for example, China. The last 20 years, the German economy was very successful in China, and there is a big, let's say, there was a big pool of China knowledge in Germany, knowing how to do business there, and this is growing about India. And if let's say this framework, the more advanced it gets, the smaller the companies will get to do the next step, because the big players, they don't need so much this kind of political framework and academia framework. Yeah.
Okay. So another interesting industry, since we're on the topic, German cars and technology. You know, Indians go absolutely crazy about German cars and technology. So, but I feel that there is a lot of potential other streams as well, like other industries, maybe technology, maybe manufacturing of pharmaceuticals or something. So I would like to know from you, what other streams should we, work on enhancing such that the trust between India and Germany and the companies remains the same or is as good as the automobile industry already has.
Yeah, you already mentioned one field, that is pharma or biochemical in general, let's say.
Right.
So the Germany has very big companies in that field, the biggest in the world.
Yes.
But at the same time, we are very dependent on China when it comes to resources, but also when it comes to production capabilities. And I have been to Hyderabad, Biotech, highly impressive, very impressive. And this is actually a great example. I mean, Bayer already shifted to Hyderabad, they are already there. But this is a great example of, let's say, an area here in India where German companies can scale up their production in the pharma sector, but also where you have a different, let's say, research area. Since if you look at Biotech, they are actually the world class in vaccination in areas where the Western companies are not so much into. And this, I don't want to say the vaccination you need in the global south, but of course the Western companies are mainly focusing on products. In the end, medicine is also a product, which is where is a big demand in the Western world.
Right.
And therefore, let's say if those players come together, they can really form a strong alliance. And also, when we say if you look at the vaccination against COVID, which Biotech did, and there was a German company which had a very similar vaccine.
Right.
So there are several German vaccines, but there was one which was very similar. The big difference was the German one had to be extremely cooled down, and therefore the logistics were very complicated. And the Indian company, on the other hand, they already had the knowledge how to operate and do vaccines for warm environments.
Tropical
Yeah,
environments.
but this knowledge was missing in Germany because there was not a demand before, and that's what one field where I would say if those kind of knowledge starts forming in alliance, that is for the good for the world. And another sector, which is from my point of view, there was a high potential, is the entire defense sector.
Right.
And this is due to the fact that Germany has several high technology companies, which are at this moment in time mostly focusing on on the German armed forces, as well as the NATO allies, but they are not really globally selling. That was due to the German foreign policy that changed a little bit after with Ukraine war, because before that the policy was not to sell defense products in areas where they might get used. Yeah, you laugh about, but this was and this is still in the current German government. This is still a very strong belief. But I think this is changing, and on the other hand, looking at India, India has a very high demand, has a very high defense spending. India is starting to build up an own defense industry,
Of course.
where also the cooperation and technology sector can be huge, and also the Russian defense industry disappeared. So Russia is not exporting anymore, and therefore India, but not only India, but major parts of the world have now the problem that the maintenance, the upgrades, and the successor of their Russian systems is not possible anymore.
Right.
No one really knows where this will go, and many other Russian customers will switch to China, which is obviously not an option here. And therefore, and the cooperation in the defense sector is very obvious. It's a win-win situation, and it is not an idea I had. US and France are already doing it for years. So this is just a field where Germany could follow.
Right. So we talked about research, right? So my brain goes to the realm of scholars. I wanted to know KAS's initiatives, the steps it has taken to further, India-Germany relations with respect to specifically academia and scholars. So can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, since Konrad Adenauer Foundation is in Germany a very big scholarship provider, and we have also different types of global scholarship systems. Here in India, they are also present, but when it comes to the size of the country, we have to admit they won't have a big impact. So we have different kinds of program, but India is actually just too big for us to cover it in a manner that many people can have profit of these scholarship programs. But we have classical scholarship, but we also have, for example, we have a one-year program which we are running together with a foundation called iLead for young leaders. So, and there's a batch of I think 40 people each year.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's also in cooperation with Hindu College.
Now, sir, I guess we can move to the fact that Germany is in Europe. It's India's biggest trade partner, right? So I want to ask you about the current state of India-Germany relations, like in general, just generalizing everything. So how does KAS aim to sort of improve these ties, like in a very general landscape? Are there any initiatives?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we are kind of a travel agency for politicians, and so that means we have and politicians, think tanker, business people. So we have a huge amount of German guests coming to India. This is the main source, but also once in a while delegations the other way around. Because you can have a lot of publications and studies, but this people-to-people or being at the other side is the most important thing. But for example, we will start a study with CSDS, which was researching the opinion and the knowledge in India about Europe to be a base for further actions. We have other studies which are focusing on particular fields, for example, cooperation in maritime sector. But at the same time, we are partnering in conferences which deal with Indo-European relations in general. So we are partner of the Rasina dialogue. But we also hosted the India-NATO dialogue, and there are several other also smaller conferences, like for example with the University of Manipal. And since you mentioned Germany is the biggest trade partner of India in Europe, we are European patriots, so that means, of course, we are also German patriots, but we see Europe as a family.
Right.
So there is no trade with Germany, there's only trade with Europe, since it's one market. And we try to always include that in our work, that we don't only try to have a German perspective or bring or try to bring Germany closer to India. We try to represent Europe as best as possible.
Yeah, because Germany recently helped India in getting the EU-India FTA that happened very recently. So I'd like to delve a little deeper into that. How is KAS, working to sort of amalgamate India and Europe together? Like this FTA is an example. So are there any other initiatives that KAS as an organization is taking to further India-Europe relations?
Yeah, the FTA is a good topic. I mean, whenever we have delegations here of German politicians, we also try to cover the topic of trade, and in that case FTA. That are visits in the ministry with Honorable Minister Goyal, but also conferences we had with business chambers like PhD, CCI. And so the dialogue about the FTA is always a crucial thing when it comes to Europe. But we also have we also have European guests, like members of Parliament of Poland, think tanker from Finland, deputy minister of a Baltic state or something.
Right.
So that is what we always try to do. Mainly our guests are Germans, mainly our topics are Germans, but we try to let's say, do it under a European umbrella.
Right. So, sir, talking about India a little more, you've been in India for how long?
More than 1 year. Yeah.
More than 1 year, right? So I think for a year, India has had the G20 presidency as well. So I would like to know what your expectations from the recent and upcoming G20 summit are. Do you think that India will be able to pioneer something? Do you think there will be a sort of a change that India can bring in the G20 presidency?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, India took over in a, let's say, in a time which are not easy, because when it comes to G20, there are two problems. One is Russia and one is China.
Of course.
And having those two members, it is hard to work in a constructive way.
Of course.
And therefore, the agenda India set was actually perfect. So I really adore the entire idea to give a platform and a voice to the so-called global South and in Africa, South America, and Asia. So that G20 becomes a way more inclusive. This itself is already, I would say, the tremendous achievement, because the inclusiveness India provided is the benchmark for every new presidency.
Of course.
So therefore, I would say the G20 in general are way more inclusive now, and also the big topics India was covering: global health, sustainable development, global food. These are all topics you cannot ignore, but also not fix in one presidency.
Of course.
And India now, let's say, kind of built the ground floor of several houses. So India started in several topics, brought people on one table, started the discussion, gave its inputs, and this is now the starting point for the next presidencies. And therefore, it is also a very constructive way the Indian government had in that extent, because it enables further development on these topics.
Right.
And if you look at each of these topics, they are very crucial when it comes to the G20.
Yeah.
Because take another topic, security. This is, I mean, it's kind of unnecessary that G20 deals with it, because the big security issues, they are handled besides the let's say the diplomatic institutions, while questions like global health, we saw it in the pandemic. This is an issue you rather fix it globally, or you fix it internationally,
right.
or you not fix it at all. And if I think, if this example, handling a pandemic, it is obvious it's better to handle this phenomena in cooperation than by yourself.
Of course, agree, totally agree. So I think we talked about sustainable development. You mentioned that India has sort of set the foundation for it in its G20 presidency. So I'd like to delve a little more into that part of things. So how does KAS and other international organizations such as the same help India in achieving sustainable development goals and standards? Because now it is really important that people, youth, governments, they start taking action. And I don't think it can be done without cooperation from outside.
So there I have to admit, we are as KAS India not helping at all. So but this is due to the fact that our focus is more security and economic, and also that there are other German institutions, namely GIZ and KfW,
of course.
which are epically big here in India. I don't know how many employees GIZ has in India in total, but it's approximately 50 times more than I have, more than 1 billion. So therefore these players, and they also have way more knowledge and experience in the field of sustainability. So and this is kind of the German work sharing.
Right. So let's sort of get a little, relaxed right now. I think we're at the end of the interview. And I'd like to come to a very important question.
Yeah.
You have been in India for over a year, and I would like to know your personal experience that you've had in India and in directing KAS.
So taking India as a place, what is India? I have seen less than 1%, I guess, even though I'm constantly traveling.
Yeah.
And also only looking at Delhi, I think I'm using 2% of Delhi in my life here. But myself, but also my family, I'm here with my wife and my son. We were always welcome here. We had a very good time here so far. And if you are going to another country, some diplomats, or they say I go everywhere. I kind of need a personal sympathy. I like the culture. I like the people. I had the sympathy before I came. I still have it after 1 year, and this is for me crucial, that I get up in the morning and like to be in this country. And this is in case of and the same is with my family. So my son loves it here. My wife is also very satisfied. But some things you have to know. If it's raining in Germany, there's a little bit of water coming from the sky. If it's raining in India, it's really raining. If someone in India says this is a little bit hot,
it's really hot.
It might kill me. And also we have different definitions of heat. So heat in Germany is 30 degrees. So my ancestors are Vikings. I'm not really made for this climate. So when it gets hot in Delhi, as a German, you have to be a little bit careful.
Love heat, rains, everything is an ample in India.
Yeah, you have to drink a lot and plan your day that you are not out of the air condition.
I completely understand.
It is a bit like when you see these when these dogs, huskies. And when you ever see a husky in Spain or Italy, you think, oh, the poor dog. And this is maybe the feeling we Germans have in Indian summer.
Oh my God. Okay, but overall, you like the place, you like the country.
Yeah, as I said,
there's a lot of culture.
There's love, and
of course.
I also, as I said, I also would not just switch to another country. You have to like the country, and I think in India it's also very easy to integrate, because India is diverse anyway.
Already inclusive.
Yeah, it's already so diverse that if you come over as a European and you are a little bit more diverse, the people can deal with it, and also let's say people are interested in the world, and this is also a habit Germans have. Germans are also interested in other cultures. So we hold a record in traveling, and there are other countries in the world where it's the other way around. They are fine with themselves, and they don't need the world outside, which is it's their cup of tea, but which is then, of course, hard to integrate as a foreigner.
Of course.
And here it's easy.
Right. So, sir, Geostrata is basically a youth-run organization, and a lot of our viewers are the youth, they're young people who would love to hear from you. So, is there any kind of message that you would like to give to them through this interview? Any advice on how to go further, maybe scholarships in Germany, or literally anything that you would like to say to them?
I mean, this is hard for me, since I don't know the Indian academic framework that well, but from I'm also holding a PhD in political science. Then I worked in German Parliament after studying, and theory and praxis is in German university a big issue.
Oh.
So many of the professors you have in university, they don't know the political institution or the labor market from the inside.
Right.
They only teach you what they have from their books.
Theory, basically.
Theory, basically.
That's in India too.
And I don't say book knowledge is not needed.
Yeah, but you need practicality.
I mean practical knowledge is of course way important if you want to succeed and also get kind of happy in working life, because the positions where someone is paying you to read books and write something and create new, they are very rare. For example, what my advice would be, practice to deal with people. With we have mainly local employees here, and when I look at the employees in my own program team, I know if I have a delegation, German guests coming, I could get ill and I could leave them alone with a German member of parliament, an admiral or a minister. And they would handle the organization, they would handle the logistics, and they would know how to do the conversation, etc. So I can trust in their soft skills when it comes to that. So and this is I would say very important, because this is what in the end is needed. You have to let's say bring practical things to a success.
Of course. I feel that in such a big society, you automatically start to learn how to converse and be with people.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, this is also let's take a very random example. If you have an academic degree and you work later on, for example, as a diplomat, it is one thing to have the knowledge about United Nations and G20, etc. But you also have to when you're in France, you have to know how to eat a snail, how to use the tools to eat a snail. Now,
that's a challenge.
That's an extreme example. No, but you have to know, for example, how to eat in an upper class restaurant, or you also need to know the let's say the differences in culture. For example, take a German example. Germans have a very dry humor, often very sarcastic, etc.
Yeah.
And when they go abroad, they are going to UK, and everyone laughs about their humor because the way of humor is very similar. And then they go to China and Japan,
nobody understands it.
and nobody gets their jokes, and the Japanese counterpart don't know what to do. Was it a joke? Was it serious? Should I laugh now? And then he loses face and is embarrassed. So this, I mean, this is something which is not taught in university. I mean, this
Something you gain eventually.
you learn it on the job. You have to
Right.
gain it, and you need internships, etc.
Of course. So I guess, sir, that would be the end of this interview, and I'm literally so honored. I'm really happy that I got to talk to you personally, and the Geostrata
Thanks for having me.
got to interview you. We really look forward to further collaboration with you as well. We'll have another one. So thank you so much, sir. I guess that would be it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.